being able to pull out a win, but some things didn't go your way. At what point does it become like the mistakes that your team has made that's costing you these games, or is it another that's baseball kind of moment to sum up this afternoon?
No, this is a little deeper. I think when we don't play bad, but we don't play good enough to win, and it's that song and dance gets old real fast. So for me, that's one of those things that I can't sit up here and preach. I can't will it into these guys. It's a killer instinct you got to have to figure out ways to win games. You can't play just good enough to lose and almost win. That gets old and tiring. That's almost worse than just getting blown out, because you're right there. You have the chance to win games. You have a chance to one big 2-out hit or one big at bat here, one big pitch there, and that game's different. But we sound like a broken record. We can't say that every day. At some point in time, someone's got to step up and get it done. And doing the best we can to put these guys in the right situations. But at some point in time, someone's got to step up. And I think that's the message to these guys right now is they're playing hard. I have no problem with the effort level, no problem with the care meter. These guys are like I said, we're close, but people around here don't want to hear close. They want to be able to get it done, and so do we. So do the coaching staff, and I believe the players do too. But at the end of the day, we gotta figure out ways to do that.
Still, with a younger team like this, when you talk about that, like you said, I mean, Oregon obviously a team that was one pitch away from World Series last year. When you see even within a series growth like that, and I know, like you're saying, it's more about silver linings or moral victories, but how close do you feel like that growth is and that step is?
Well, I think once you start accepting silver linings and moral victories, that becomes a standard. And right now, we can't accept that. Yes, we try to take the positives out of things, but at the end of the day, it's all about W's. And right now, we're not getting enough of them. That falls upon my shoulders. I got to figure out ways to get these guys to play a little bit better and make the play when they need to, and get the big hit when they need to. So can't do it for them, of course, but we got to try to keep coaching and breathing it into them, the confidence level, and figure out ways to get it done. But on the same token, we can't be accepting close defeats as acceptable around here. It's just not.
You got really 3 very strong innings out of Tyler today to start the game, and then you sort of straight off of that path in the 4th. What is the sort of perspective on his sort of recovery back to full health, returning from the kind of injury he had, and where he's at in that process at this point, and also to that, how patient do you have to be for him to be ready for to stay in the Sunday role moving forward?
Well, we're going to evaluate the whole entire team really. But in reference to Tyler, he threw the ball better today. Walked one guy, but that was in the 4th inning. We had a walk and a hit, and then a Muni home run, there to left field, where he made a pretty good pitch on and got the guy out front. I think the kid thought he was going to be out, and he looked up, and it's a grand slam. Got up in the jet stream, and it's not the home run that killed us. It's the walk and the hit batter prior to the home run that really leaves a scar. And at the end of the day, we had our wind-dated home runs too today, a couple of them. But that's what stings is the walk and hit batter, that we got to eliminate those type of things.
Still relatively early on in the season, but you told us last week how the team is still far away from playing its best baseball. How closer do you think they got to getting there this week, even with the lack of guys stepping up in the big moments?
There's good individual performances throughout the game, but the team performance is what I'm concerned about, and I don't know how to put that into words really, other than the fact that some guys are doing some great things, but we're not putting it all together as a team. We're not putting together one at bat to the next to the next to the next. We're hitting home runs, but with nobody on base. We're not putting together the big innings. Some guys are coming out of the bullpen and throwing the ball great. Other guys, man, 2 hits, 2 walks, and it's like, man, you can't survive like that. We got to pound the strike zone. But other guys, Ryan Schieffer been throwing the ball great. got us out of a big time jam there that in the, what inning was that, the 6th, I think? And then went on to throw 3 stellar innings after that. Like, okay, so that's the great performance. The not so great was coming in a bases loaded jam with nobody out that we self-inflicted wounds. So just kind of putting it all together is what we got to do, obviously. But you know, we'll keep grinding. We'll continue to stay positive with these guys, but at the same token, we got to figure out ways to come out on top.
Bases loaded jam caused by Cornelius coming out of the bullpen. What did you see from him that gave him some trouble on the mound?
Strikes, you know. I've seen the ball come out a lot better from Matty's, you know, hand before, and it just wasn't coming out very good. And combine that with not hitting your spots, and you know, couldn't get Chief warm fast enough, really. So, you know, he's got to be better than that, and he knows that.
Coach, it feels like the bullpen has kind of an up and down performance every day. There's someone that's performing well one day and it comes in the next and is struggling maybe. How hard is it to manage kind of those 5th through 9th innings when it's tough to know who's going to be consistent back there?
I'm getting grayer every day. So trying to find the right mix and who to, again, you know, there's days where we're doing really well and putting guys in the situations that they were successful the previous outing in that situation, and then the next time, you know, whether they are or aren't, it's trying to find the pulse of when they're going to be on and when they're not, and if they're not, trying to get them out of there as quickly as you can and get the next guy in that can be successful in those situations. But that's the challenge, you know, when you're dealing with you know, these kids are in college, right, and they're not at the professional ranks yet, but they're not going to be perfect, and you have to, again, I guess that's what I'm talking about is, even though you're not perfect, you still got to have the guts and the desire to still compete and get after and find a way to be successful without your best stuff.
When you were first hired here, you wanted, your goal, your aim was to get the culture back on track, to renew what you had as a player here. Where is that? Where would you sort of evaluate that to be at this point, isolated from, you know, some of maybe the on-field results right now?
You know, I think it's a fair question to be able to quantify that and say we're at 60% or 90% of the way there. I mean, I don't know. I feel a good vibe in the clubhouse. I think we got, you know, good character kids in there, and not to say there hasn't been character kids here in the past, but you know, I think you know, we're still missing a little bit of that, I guess, blood and guts winner mentality. I think we're getting close. We have again great kids in there that really do truly care about this program and are getting there. We just, again, finding that last piece of do whatever it takes to win. You know, we got to figure out a way to get it done. You know, we're, again, very close, but we're not there yet.
Coach, it feels like the offense kind of took a step back from the last time you guys were here at home. Was that maybe at bat qualities? What did you see from what kind of changed?
You know, I think missing good pitches to hit. I think just, again, I haven't watched today's game, but just a little bit late. I think guys are getting ready a tick late and not getting the contact point where it needs to be. Squaring balls up, hitting line drives, but you know, a lot of times early in the count to the opposite field instead of getting the head out a little bit more, doing damage with that intent. Just missing pitches. Again, I kind of go back to that mindset of, you know, if you got good pitches to hit, if you're locked in with that sense of urgency, you don't miss those pitches. You know, we faced some very good arms early on, and we didn't miss a lot of pitches early on. So this is just, in my mind, just a little bit more focus, a little bit more mindset of being ready to go, and that not just missing it. You know, following through with you know, with that killer instinct, hopefully, that we can get at some point.
With them being the reigning Pac-12 champions, it's just another tough team that you're playing in this gauntlet to start the season. With it kind of getting, not necessarily getting easier, but like the notoriety of opponents decreasing after Arizona next week, how do you feel like the level of competition your team has faced in this first month is going to get them ready for the stretch run?
Well, I mean, I've said it several times. I think, you know, we're battle tested, clearly. And we've been every game's, you know, 27 out dogfight where you can't let your guard down for 1 minute, right? That's just how we are. And does that become mentally draining? A little bit for me, I know that much, because it's like, man, can we have a blowout one of these days so I can kind of kick back and relax? But that ain't gonna happen, right? We have to understand this is this type of team we have, and we got to come mentally ready to play every day, or it's you know, we're not going to be there. So you know, has it prepared us? I mean, time will tell. You know, I think we couldn't have done any more to prepare ourselves for this. I mean, now it's just a matter of executing and figuring out ways to get it done when it counts. So you know, got New Mexico this week, and then the Cats down south. So you know, the schedule doesn't get a whole lot easier. Like, it continues to remain tough, and it's going to be, you know, we have no easy games. You go to Pullman after that, and that's a tough place to play. You know, a couple of midweek games mixed in there, they're going to be a challenge. So yeah, I don't see this getting any easier. We just have to play better.
Any anticipation of your starting pitcher against New Mexico on Tuesday?
No, I gotta see who's left standing after this weekend, and see who we're gonna go with on Tuesday. If Markle's back ready to go, maybe he gets a couple innings, we'll see. I'm not sure. We gotta go evaluate where we're at health-wise and who's available for Tuesday.
You mentioned in the past the importance of winning here at Muni. And Harris in particular, you mentioned sort of the sting of not taking care of business, especially in some closer games this weekend. How do you, from maybe a motivational standpoint, leverage this kind of series moving forward?
You know, I've spoken all I can to these guys, and I don't want to be one of those coaches that just continues to sit up there and have it go in one ear out the other. I don't think that's the case in there right now, but you know, there's a fine line between sitting up there on your soapbox and listening to yourself talk versus just punching them between the eyes with truth, and hopefully they are able to motivate themselves at some point in time. Again, I think it's a good group in there, and my hope is they'll figure it out. But again, that can't come from me preaching to them every day. They got to at some point look in the mirror and be a little self-motivated too.
Is that sort of, when you're here as a player, is that the kind of camaraderie, the expectations that you felt in a day-to-day in the clubhouse?
Well, I mean, I think there was a little fear that if you didn't show up ready to play, that you know, you just might get your fanny kicked by a teammate, right? And maybe those days are gone. I don't know, but I do know there was an edge that you better show up ready to play, or you might have a teammate grab you by the throat and throw you down the tunnel. And you know, some might say, well, that's harsh and mean in today's world. Well, that was a fun time to play. Anyhow, I'm not suggesting we need to have a bunch of fighters in there, but we do have to have guys that hold each other accountable and set an expectation that we got to be better than this.
With Kevin Carstetter, I think it was started the first 12 of 13 games, hasn't played in the last couple. How do you put in perspective his role, if that's sort of, if you foresee that potentially changing, you know, for the foreseeable future?
Kevin needed a mental reset.
Okay.
You know, at the end of the day, he's a good player, but some token, you as a coach understand the game is really speeding up on him at times. You know, I think it started a little bit down in Texas, and you know, continued on Friday night, and it's like, man, he needs a breather, he needs a mental reset, and you know, you got to give some of these other guys the opportunity as well. Mario's a 4-year starter, you know, coming from USF, and you know, is a good player. Hasn't gotten off offensively like he's capable of yet, but you know, that's the luxury of, I guess, having a little bit of depth is with somebody scuffling like that, and the game is speeding up, we gotta give another guy a shot. You know, there's some good players that haven't played a whole lot. You know, Trey Newman hasn't played a whole lot. Josiah Cromwell hasn't played a lot. Eamon Lance hasn't played a lot. But you know, I kind of try to keep stressing these guys, their opportunities coming. So be ready for it. These guys that I'm running out there every day better start figuring it out. Because if we're not going to win with them, then we got to try somebody new, right? So Kevin's no different. If we're not getting it done, then the next guy's gonna get an opportunity.